Let's start with a truth. Every seasoned grower and survivalist knows deep down. The seed is more than just the beginning of a plant. It's a living archive of your soil, your climate, and your hard-earned knowledge. In every seed lies the memory of a season, how much rain fell, how harsh the sun burned, how you tended it through drought or disease. Saving seeds isn't just about thrift. It's about independence, continuity, and legacy. When you learn to save seeds, you stop buying your garden year after year and start building a living lineage that can outlast you. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because by the end you'll know how to preserve your best plants for next season with the same precision and respect our ancestors did when food security depended on skill, not stores. Choosing the right plants to save from is where it all begins. Not every plant deserves to pass on its genes. The key to good seed saving starts with selection, choosing only the healthiest, most vigorous plants to represent your next generation. Whether you're growing tomatoes, beans, lettuce or corn, always mark the best performers early in the season. Look for plants that resisted pests, naturally handled stress well, and produced strong yields. These traits are encoded in their seeds, and by saving from them, you're actively shaping your future harvests to fit your soil and environment better every year. Take an example from heirloom bean growers. They never just pull random pods at the end of harvest. They tag the earliest, strongest plants mid-season and let their pods dry naturally. That practice ensures next year's crop matures earlier and withstands stress better. So, before you start saving seeds, start observing which plants stand out. Because, you know, nature rewards precision. Once you've selected your plants, timing becomes everything. Seeds must be fully mature before they're harvested. Otherwise, they just won't store well or germinate properly. For dry-seeded crops like beans, peas and lettuce, the signal is clear. The pods or flower heads turn brown and brittle. At this point, you can pull the entire plant and hang it upside down in a dry, well-ventilated area to finish curing. For wet-seeded crops, such as tomatoes, cucumbers or squash, you'll need to harvest the fruits when they're fully ripe, often beyond the eating stage. Here's a good practice. Let 1 or 2 fruits per plant over-ripen. For instance, a cucumber left too long will turn yellowish and soft, but inside the seeds will be at their prime. Cut it open, scoop out the seeds, and rinse off the pulp under cool water. With tomatoes, fermentation is key. Place the seeds and gel in a jar, add water and let it sit for about 3 days until a thin film forms on top. That fermentation process kills off pathogens and separates the viable seeds, which sink to the bottom. Strain, dry, and you've got clean, disease-free seeds ready for storage. Proper drying is the hidden step most people overlook. Moisture is the silent killer of stored seeds. Even if you collect the best seeds, if they're not properly dried, they'll mould or lose viability within months. The rule of thumb among old farmers still holds true. Seeds should be dry enough to snap, not bend. Spread them in a single layer on a paper towel or screen in a shaded, airy space, never in direct sun. You want slow, even drying. For those of you living in humid climates, you can actually use a simple desiccant setup. Just place your dried seeds in a glass jar with a small packet of silica gel or even a bit of uncooked rice for about a week before sealing it up. This step, well, it really pulls out any lingering moisture. You know, many traditional gardeners use clay pots or cloth sacks. But in modern homesteading, airtight glass jars or paper envelopes inside sealed containers, they offer the best balance between protection and breathability. It might sound simple, but honestly, labelling is where many seed savers trip up. A jar of mystery seeds simply won't help you when spring comes around. Always note the plant type, variety and harvest date. For advanced growers, recording specific notes like growth habits, disease resistance and yield can help track progress across years. Once labelled, store your seeds in a cool, dark and dry location. Temperature fluctuations shorten a seed's life, so a basement, root cellar or even a refrigerator works well for long-term storage. Avoid plastic bags unless you've completely dried the seeds, as trapped humidity can ruin them. If done properly, many seeds remain viable for years. Beans and grains often last up to 5, while tomatoes and peppers can last a decade when stored correctly. If you're saving seeds from open-pollinated varieties, you need to control cross-pollination. This means giving plants enough space or, staggering flowering times to prevent unwanted hybrids. For instance, if you grow multiple types of squash, keep them separated by distance or use fine mesh bags over the blossoms to control which flowers are pollinated. Saving seeds only makes sense if the genetics remain consistent, so don't skip this detail. Here's a practical example for you. If a gardener is saving sweet corn, it's best to plant it at least 200 meters away from field corn. This helps avoid any cross-pollination, you see. Otherwise, the kernels in the next season might end up tasting starchy instead of sweet. And, when it comes to peppers, keeping different varieties apart or hand-pollinating selected flowers will ensure your seeds stay true to type. Now, even well-stored seeds, they do lose some viability over time. So, periodic germination testing is, essential. What you want to do is take about 10 seeds from your batch, place them on a damp paper towel and seal them in a plastic bag. Keep them warm and then check after a week. If at least 8 sprout, you've got 80% viability, which is pretty good. Anything lower, and it's time to plant those seeds and save a fresh batch. You see, this testing isn't just about satisfying curiosity. It ensures that every season's effort truly pays off. If you're running a small farm or preparing for long-term sustainability, you can rotate seed batches the same way you rotate food stores, always renewing your supply before it declines. The bottom line is that saving seeds is both a science and a survival skill. When you save your own seeds, you're doing more than ensuring next year's crop. You're keeping a genetic legacy alive. Each seed becomes more adapted to your soil and your growing methods with every generation. It's a practice rooted in both tradition and practicality, connecting you to centuries of self-sufficient farmers who saw seeds not as commodities, but as living promises. Start small. Save seeds from your best tomato, bean or lettuce plants this year. Label them, store them well, and plant them next season. Watch how they respond to your land better each time. That's how independence grows, one seed at a time. If you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe to Husbandry and share this video with anyone who still relies on store-bought seeds. Let's keep the tradition and the knowledge alive for every grower who values true self-reliance.